our model for drug policy and the drug wars on marijuana have been a complete failure. And we know that for 75 years. We spent a huge amount of money in the criminal justice system, wasted money, busting people for low-level marijuana use, potentially criminalizing them for life, not allowing them to be able to get tuition aid for college or apply for certain kind of jobs simply because they were using small quantities of marijuana.
That's Manhattan State Senator Liz Krueger explaining why she thinks New York's drug laws have failed, particularly when it comes to marijuana. Today, she announced that she is sponsoring a bill that would completely legalize weed in the Empire State. I'm not talking medicinal here. I'm talking for all uses, including recreational.
The healthcare community and the medical experts have documented it is a less dangerous substance than tobacco or alcohol. So I'm not encouraging anyone to use marijuana, but I say we have laws to regulate and to tax alcohol and tobacco, and we should apply the same model to marijuana.
Marijuana, as you know, is now legal in Colorado and Washington State. That's thanks to Washington, D.C. deciding not to try and step in and stop them, basically leaving it to a state issue. Public opinion may have something to do with that. Gallup support for legalization, it's at a record high now, 58%, and that's a 10-point jump in just 1 year. It's an issue where opinion has changed significantly in recent years and decades. You got to really look to marriage equality for basically the only other example here where public opinion has changed so fast. Okay, Andrew, does it make me a hypocrite to say, I get that we're just throwing good money after bad with these prosecutions all the time and how it but at the same time, I'm not entirely comfortable with legalizing marijuana for recreational use. I know you can't have it both ways, but the criminalization's dumb, but at the same time, I don't want to green light it like it's tobacco or alcohol.
Well, that's not where the hypocrisy isn't on that end. It is with the comparison to tobacco and with alcohol, because you could certainly make the argument that you as a father wouldn't be particularly comfortable with legalization of tobacco or legalization of alcohol. They are potentially risky, potentially harmful to kids. They have the other, as you heard from the state senator, the comparisons are that marijuana is actually less damaging than both of those are in those different respects. So that's where I think the potential for hypocrisy lies. If you're going to allow one, you should really allow them all. And the other argument is financial at this point. You're going to start seeing a fiscal boom in places like Washington State and in Colorado. And you know, we were talking before about getting enough money in the coffers to pay for services and to pay for the basic essentials. This is one avenue.
Has it translated that way in Colorado?
It hasn't rolled out yet fully. It starts the first of the year, particularly in Colorado, but you're already looking at tourism that's expanding that's based on this. You're looking at other institutions as well.
If you three guys, I know how Andrew feels about this, but if you three guys had a vote in Albany, would you vote to legalize it?
No. That's a tough one. We just did a segment about helping poor people and why they're in the predicament that they're in. And 2 minutes later, we're saying give them some weed.
No, we're not.
Don't
even. Okay, what is wrong with you guys tonight? You're making stuff up.
I just said no,
said that.
That's all I said.
No one said that. No one said give him weed. There's a difference between.
Who do you think's going to smoke it?
They got to buy it, Dominic, not give it to them.
Who do you think's smoking it today?
What do you think they're going to do with their monthly check?
That's a whole other conversation.
What do you think they do now with their monthly check?
Please.
Don't worry about the ATMs and the strip clubs?
No.
Can we just start at the beginning again?
No.
6 o'clock.
Wait, how would you vote?
To decriminalize, it's a no-brainer.
To fully legalize.
Wait a minute. To decriminalize, one step at a time. There's nothing good.
Filibuster.
There's nothing good about alcohol, tobacco, or marijuana. To treat them separately is going to A, fail, and B, expensive. That's the problem we're solving. We should solve it. The problem of use of intoxicating materials, which is not a good
thing. But if you decriminalize, you're basically legalizing for recreational purposes. So if you had to face that Hobson's choice, you would vote to legalize.
Sure.
Already decriminalized, by the way, up for small amounts. 7/8 of an ounce, I believe, is decriminalized.
But to give a state blessing to it, something a little different.
It's not a blessing.
We don't. If you're legalizing it for recreational, what do you think it is?
Do you bless cirrhosis of the liver when you say people can buy gin? No. You're saying that there are some behaviors which are not subject to the criminal law, which we think are bad behaviors.
The argument against that is someone could handle it in moderation. Not everyone gets sclerosis of the liver from alcohol abuse.
And not
Some
everyone
do.
smokes weed to an inappropriate extent.
But the focus
Buy Dorito stock.
The focus on the health, these are always the most helpful arguments in these kind of debates.
It's all he's got.
But the focus really shouldn't be on the health risks or benefits. The people that you're worried about, Dominic, are the ones who are winding up in jail. And they're losing.
That is true. That's why I said this is a tough one.
And they're losing their livelihood.
I want you and Brodsky, the next time I go on a tour of a city hospital and someone is being restrained with straps because they smoked some marijuana and they completely lost their mind and now they're in a psychiatric institution. I want you two to come with me.
We've been
I
down
want
this
you
road.
two to come with me. I want you two to come with me.
We've been down this road before because you would improve the safety of it. You would improve the quality of it.
But
It wouldn't
here's,
be limited.
Andrew, I think there's an inevitability. I think there's an inevitability.
Legalize pot, get better pot.
But do you
Is that a bumper
believe?
sticker?
But do you believe? In the blue states that eventually follow suit of Colorado and Washington State, the polls will drive this to a certain degree generationally. Is there an inevitability it goes beyond marijuana? Or is that the bright line that we don't cross, that we don't get into harder stuff? Because people say, and fairly, the slippery slope argument.
The criminal law is not an effective agency to control drug abuse. How many times does that have to be proved?
So Richard,
There
cocaine now.
There are other ways to deal with it. These are terrible things. They should not be widely used.
If you
They're bad for society.
I'm sorry, if
They're
you
bad
disincentivize the criminal action of the sale of it and the purchase of it.
You end up jailing addicts. That's what you end up doing. It's
so
insane.
There's no criminal? I'm going to go to heroin now?
There are other ways to stop the use other than criminal
What do you
law.
do? What do you do with pilots who live in Colorado, can smoke, and don't smoke for the 48 hours or 72 hours before? I'm just saying.
I'm for pilots smoking
No, and
marijuana.
have done nothing wrong. At what point can
That's
they
my
not
position.
smoke? What do you do? What do you do if you apply? What if you live in Colorado? You go to Pennsylvania and apply for a job and get a drug
My
test.
real position
At what
is
point?
that it ought to be mandatory.
But at what time? At what point is it legal in one state
ought to
and
be
not in
forced to
another? I think it's a
smoke.
Pandora's box.
This is your
show.
taking me off a cliff, and what are you doing? You're pandering
This is
to
your
it.
show. Make it mandatory. Now we're
But there
talking.
is a libertarian argument, Mr. Conservative, that says
And Joe Loder ran, and he was for legalizing.
There's a libertarian argument that
did a big
says
study on tax benefits of it.
keep the government out of people's personal business. Where does the line start and stop?
I think there's a line there right now we shouldn't be crossing right now. That's why I said, without hesitation, I would not vote for legalizing marijuana.
The past faces the
You can't even get it out.
I can't. Here's what I meant to say. Your face is firmly planted in the 19th century. These are not
I'm just
adequate
saying,
to the time.
I can
As you
guarantee
do it-
you're not going to agree on this next one, so let's save some time for it. The Volcker rule, okay?
What is the
Finally,
Volcker
after the
rule?
crash of 2008 here, we are going to see some regulation
Finally
of
some
Wall
good
Street.
news.
Time out. It's kind of like the Three Little Bears, some people say. Didn't go far enough. I'm sure the man to my left will argue this. Some people will say, like the man to my right, it went too far and it's restricting the financial services industry. And some people say it's just right here, it's the right balance and the right message. When we come back, we'll tell you what it means and also where the table stands.